How did a fighter like Suga Sean O'Malley, with his unconventional looks and persona, rise to be the next UFC megastar? When you are tentatively tagged as the next Conor McGregor, and not just a wannabe, you know you're on the right track. From obscurity to prospect to contender to champion. Could Suga even make it to a contendership? Many, and I mean many, doubted so. Let's wind back to the time he sent a nobody named Alfred to the Shadow Realm. That knockout was an excellent display of skill, but that wasn't all. A rather plain-looking Sean O'Malley then climbed onto the cage and proclaimed,
"If there's one guy on this show that resembles
Welcome
the same
to the UFC, O'Malley!"
the same body."
Didn't get that?
I said, welcome to the Sugar Show.
The Suga Show, he said, but easier said than done. Sean O'Malley was a part of one of the most, if not the most, competitive weight classes in the sport, bantamweight. And yeah, his KO win was great, but he was taken down in the same fight, exposing his imperfect takedown defense. More importantly, he didn't give the impression of a champion in the making. Tall and lanky, which was good for his style, but he also looked and acted like a frat boy, with a little too much ink on him. Inside the octagon, however, Sean O'Malley was crushing people left, right, and center, building his fan base with every knockout, triggering his naysayers because he showed up and won with a different hair color each time. That said, despite the impressive performances, his stock at 135 didn't really rise because the fighters he beat up were outside the top 10. The one time he shared the cage with a dangerous opponent, Marlon Vera, he was on the floor, semi-conscious and his leg busted. There was an asterisk over his loss, but many people were convinced that the hype train had fallen off a cliff, and Sean O'Malley, who had gone the Ronda Rousey route, would never recover from the setback.
I really do believe I'm still undefeated.
Mentally, I'm undefeated. I can lose because my skills aren't better than this dude.
That was somewhat concerning, but Sean O'Malley showed no signs of Ronda Rousey syndrome in his next fight, pretty much ending the career of Thomas Almeida in a 3-round slaughter. After getting back on the win column, O'Malley kept piecing up barely relevant dudes as he had been doing before. When asked why he was even bothering with them, Sean explained that he was paid the same amount per fight, no matter the opponent, so why risk it? Strangely, Dana White, who enjoys throwing fighters under the bus as a negotiation tactic, had no issues with Sean taking the easy route. Maybe he sensed a bit of star potential and allowed him to build his brand, but sooner or later, Sean had to take an actual contender fight. Fast forward a few more flashy knockouts and a no contest over Pedro Munoz, O'Malley announced that he would be competing in UFC 280 in Abu Dhabi, and his opponent would be Petr Yan.
I'm getting the fight that I wanted and the fight that people want.
Yan didn't have the title with him, but after the 2 bouts with Sterling and all the controversy surrounding those, a lot of people still considered Yan as the absolute best bantamweight in the company, and O'Malley, as per the odds, was headed for a demolition. The fight didn't go terribly wrong for the prospect, and Sean did far better than most expected. Up until that point, Yan was basically a Terminator, but O'Malley outstruck Yan, wobbled him a few times, and made him wrestle. Factoring in the takedowns and the control time, Yan, in the eyes of many fans and fellow fighters, had edged out a decision. But lo and behold, the judges. Even Sean himself was stunned by the decision, but it was written in the history books. Sean O'Malley defeated Petr Yan, and the very next fight on the card, Aljamain Sterling successfully defended his championship belt against TJ Dillashaw. That was the fight to make, as all Sean needed was a controversial split decision over Yan. But soon after UFC 280, O'Malley went on a long vacation, and Sterling, in the meantime, went on to face a returning Henry Cejudo. While O'Malley was driving around in his new pink Lambo, Sterling went through fight camp, a brutal weight cut, and fought Henry Cejudo for 5 full rounds, and he ended up getting his hand raised. O'Malley was in attendance, and he entered the octagon to talk some trash and make sure that he was the next guy in line. Merab stealing his jacket, and the little commotion in the cage only added to the feud, and fresh off a successful title defense, Sterling was approached by the UFC to make a quick turnaround. UFC 292 was set for Boston, O'Malley's backyard, and the main event slot was open, and the pressure was on Sterling to accept.
Something, and then you have O'Malley saying, well, regardless, I'll be there and I'll be fighting for a title.
Yeah. Dana White privilege at work, people. Eventually, tempted by a big payday and confident that O'Malley was going to be an easy fight, Sterling accepted the bout for UFC 292, and it was official. O'Malley was finally going to compete for the title, but he was up against his worst matchup in the division. Even with the quick turnaround and nagging injuries, Sterling was simply too much for the tall and skinny striker who was taken down and controlled by Petr Yan. Maybe O'Malley should have extended his vacation and waited for Sterling to lose the belt, but in Boston that night, Sean was primed and focused focus to usher in the Suga era and push the bantamweight division to new heights, just as a certain Irishman had done for 145. One takedown, and it was pretty much over for Sean. But the first round was contested on the feet, and after stuffing a takedown from Sterling in the second, O'Malley, a sniper, found his opening, and with a picture-perfect on-the-chin counter, boom! He did it. It's hard to deny that O'Malley was the recipient of Dana White privilege, and he challenged for the title with a controversial split decision as his only noteworthy victory. But corporate favoritism can only get you so far in the main event of UFC 292. Sean O'Malley was alone in the cage with Sterling, and he became champion all on his own. Given his rather unique look, lifestyle, and his hesitance at fighting elite competition, many fans were convinced that O'Malley was in the UFC to build a following, make cash, and then bounce. But that didn't happen. And it wasn't just the fans who thought that he looked like a dude bro who spent way too much time in a tattoo parlor. His fellow fighters didn't have too much respect for him either. At the UFC 280 pre-fight conference, Petr Yan was all cool with Sterling beside him, but he clearly did not appreciate Sean and regarded him with disgust.
Hi, just look at him. He's like a whore on the side of the road.
Damn. Yan probably looked at him for 2 seconds and thought, no way this guy, who had a different hair color not even 24 hours ago, was even worthy of being in the UFC. Cody, who was barely a top 10 at 135, thought no different about the guy.
You sound a little worried.
I sound what?
A little worried?
About what?
Me?
A clown sitting to my left?
Plus, Sean O'Malley made his lifestyle pretty public and had no issues disclosing how he lived. From smoking weed to having an open relationship with his girlfriend, O'Malley didn't really have a lifestyle that was conducive to being a legitimate athlete. And this might have pissed off his peers. Disrespect to the sport. Yet despite these toxic habits, here he is today. From obscurity to world champion. Talk about a meteoric rise. He may not be a box office draw right now, but one more stellar knockout against an indestructible machine like Petr Vera on a stage as grand as UFC 299, and Sean O'Malley will indeed become Conor McGregor of 135.